We're ready. Are you ready? All right. I'd like to call to order the Finance and Personnel Committee meeting here Tuesday, September 19th at 4 o'clock. Can I have the clerk please take the roll?
Maring.
Here.
Dashlet.
Here.
Boer.
Here.
Swedberg. Here. Meverden.
Here?
Ortlieb.
Here.
Kevin Schmidt.
Here.
Wayne Schmidt will be arriving later.
Okay. Thank you, Aaron. Appreciate it. Can we confirm that this meeting has been posted in compliance with the open meetings law?
It has.
All right, thank you. Let the meeting minutes reflect that. Item number 4, approval of or changes to the order of the agenda as it has been published.
So moved.
We've got a motion by Midge,
Second.
second by Casey. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. Thank you. Item number 5, approval of the meeting minutes from August 15th. Everybody get a chance or opportunity to review them. Any comments, questions?
So move.
Motion by Lee,
Second.
and a second by Kevin. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. Item number 6, consideration of bills and conference attendance. We'll start with item A, which are the general bills. Does everybody have a chance to read through those? Do we have any questions? Any questions regarding the register activity?
Just a sec, Scott. Oh my God. Okay. No, I'm good.
Any questions regarding the bills? I'd accept a motion to pay the bills.
I make a motion to accept the general bills.
Motion by Lee, second by John. Can I get a roll call vote, please?
Meverden.
Yes.
Same
Kevin
person.
Schmidt.
Yes.
Dashlet.
Yes.
Maring.
Yes.
Boer.
Yes.
Ortlieb.
Yes.
Swedberg.
Yes.
All right, thank you, Aaron. Item B under 6, we've got conference attendance. There is one in here for both Matt and Casey for the Wisconsin Wastewater Operators Association. That takes place, looks like the October 24th through the 27th.
And that's scratch.
That can be scratched.
Neither
Neither
one
of
of
us
them
are
are
now
going.
going because of what's going on here. So,
Things change.
yeah.
Okay.
It was put on there last week when we put the agendas together.
Yeah.
Neither of us are attending that conference now.
Okay. Are there any other trainings
No.
being pursued? All right, then we will move on forward to item number 7, which is public comment. Is there anybody in the audience tonight that would like to speak under public comment? Anybody in the room that would like to speak under public comment? Hearing none, we'll move forward to item 8, old business. We've got, I assume we're gonna wanna take these separate, Mr. Administrator, kinda like we talked about with short-term rental, the ordinance review, the rental fee.
Yep, so the
Okay,
first
start
one
with
on
item
here
A.
is the ordinance review. One of the questions before we made a motion to move the ordinance forward was the hotels, motels, and campgrounds count under this ordinance? No, they do not. They fall under a different structure, so that is not part of this ordinance. This would be for residential, business Airbnbs, with the exception of hotels, motels, and campgrounds does not fall under this. That is the legal advice from the city attorney, concurred with.
Is that delineated?
I don't believe anywhere in here it says that there's hotels, motels that count under this ordinance.
Okay.
So it is not delineated because I don't believe anywhere in here it talks about residential dwellings.
Okay.
I think that was part of the question when we were
Mm-hmm.
arguing back and forth, or discussing back and forth, is that, so then, like, the condos up on S and the condos here.
Be
that's
considered a
part of-
residential dwelling would fall under this purview.
Okay,
Why are condos considered residential when they're multi-condos?
Because, that's, Why is a
Because they were
condo?
built under a commercial building code. So I built them
No.
back in the day when you
No,
built
they're
those
not
condos.
No.
built under commercial building
They're
code
built
if they're
as
under
condos.
square feet. It's dictated by the square footage of them, as far as if they're commercial or not.
But wasn't this ordinance that's just to get the people that are building in the residential, like Dr. Wisey's old house on Fremont? Now that's
Mhm.
an Airbnb, and I went there for a call, and I had no idea who owns it, how to get a hold of it. Now, if we had this ordinance, I could call the police department, or the sheriff's department could have a list in Spillman, and I could look this up. But now we're penalizing, like, say, charter businesses, cause they're kinda like a hotel. Why are we penalizing them? Cause that's like part of their business. It isn't like they're just running their house 6 months out of the year, and then they're renting it out as an Airbnb.
I don't know how we could defer, we can't do anything by zoning. I don't know how I could defer them because they run a charter fishing business. Why are they any different than somebody that runs just a straight up house rental business?
Well, their residential neighborhood are built as single-family dwellings. That's how they're built. These are
Mhm.
built as condos. There's a difference there.
Actually, they're townhouses.
Or townhouses, so yeah, when you build a house, it's a single-family dwelling. So any single-family dwelling could be this ordinance, any residential home. A condo's not a residential home.
I would disagree with that. Well, I would disagree with that.
So the clarification was on the ordinance.
But now, I guess, what are you considering a condo? Like, two of Ken's buildings are condos, and
Well, down
everything
right
else that he
next to the
owns
winery.
are houses?
That's all condos next to the winery. Over here by Dairy Dean's, those are condos.
Okay.
So they're no different than a motel,
But
but
up
yet
there,
we're
aren't
making
they
them pay
duplexes?
how much per condo, right? Or per
Yeah.
property.
No, it's
Per
probably,
tax parcel.
Tax parcel.
so they got one tax
Kevin, the
parcel
ones
for
up
those
on the
ones
highway
by
are,
winery.
are duplexes.
Yeah, those are duplex. Well, duplexes is duplex, but I'm
Yeah.
talking condos that are
Right.
like row
Yep.
houses. Is that fair? Cause he is a business owner, not that I'm sticking up for Troy, I'm just trying to think of everything. And I know I wasn't here when you had your big discussion, but it's not a residential dwelling, it's a condo.
So I think, and part of what we discussed, Kevin, was that we all, I mean, it was the overwhelming majority that thought it was to protect the residential and it had nothing to do with the businesses.
It's zoned in a residential area
Yeah,
though.
zone.
Right.
So it's
The
considered
clarification that we asked is regarding the ordinance. The ordinance has, keeping the fees separate. The ordinance, what you're telling us, Matt, is that hotels, motels, and campgrounds are null and void.
To
They-
this, correct.
They would not count.
That is correct.
But, so if and when we pass the ordinance, which, I mean, that's one part.
Mm-hmm.
For item B, when we talk about the short-term rental, the permit fee, that's where we would need to take into consideration the dollar amount because it is going to affect the condos and some of the local businesses.
Right.
I mean, that's more or less, right?
Yep.
Okay. Is that,
But I agree with what he's saying.
I'm
in a
just
way,
saying,
but it
I'm not
just-
voting yes for that if you're gonna affect these people that have these businesses in town. It's not a residential neighborhood like Lee's neighborhood, I'm gonna put an Airbnb next door. That's different, it was built as a residential house, I'm changing it from what it was originally built for. The condos were originally built for condos,
Well,
So like the Summit Beach condos,
those are condos.
and some of them short-term rental, they're condo.
They
Having
were
lived
built
in a
as
condo
condos.
myself,
Multi-row housing they were built as. That's a condo, like the
Having-
apartment buildings. I could rent out my apartment as an Airbnb, you're saying?
yeah?
It
yeah,
is-
you could.
Then I'd
Yeah,
have to pay.
per your contract of your rental
That's what I
structure.
mean. That's like a condo, it's,
Well, I would have to say this, having lived in a condo, I owned that condo as a residential unit.
right. 'Cause you
And,
pay your
and I
HOH
paid
fees.
taxes as a residential unit.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And whether you build them to rent out, or whether I don't understand why you're saying a condo isn't a residential unit. It is a residential unit. If you're gonna build 5 condo, or a 4 condo complex, and instead of selling those condos, you retain them and rent them out, they are still residential units.
Because you're double taxing the guy that's already paying taxes on his business, he's paying business taxes, he's paying.
Well,
Now we're just-
that's a whole nother,
And
that's
I
a
know
whole
that's the
nother
amount,
kettle of
but you
fish.
gotta try to figure out to separate it.
Yeah.
Well, it's not a tax,
So
it's
if
not
any-
taxes and
If any house decides to rename their property a condo, then would they be exempt?
These are residential houses, they're 3 to 4 bedroom houses. Individual houses. I was thought this ordinance was about. I mean, now we're, every condo, we could do everything in town with this ordinance.
What do you mean we could do everything?
You could do it, well, you could do every condo.
This ordinance, it has nothing to do with a dollar fee. This ordinance,
I'm not talking about fees, I'm talking about a residential neighborhood is why we decided we wanted this Airbnb thing from the beginning, is
Mhm.
my understanding was. Not to penalize the businesses in town that are using these condos for their fisheries.
this ordinance doesn't penalize the condos in town. This ordinance gives structure, like you asked, when you go to a call, like who owns this property, who owns this house? How is that penalizing somebody that owns the building?
Well, then
To
is-
have a call log and a list of the people and how many people are staying there, that's what this ordinance spells out.
Okay, is.
Whether you live in a residential house or a condo or where you live, that's what this whole
Right.
platform spells out.
Is Ken Fishing gonna pay just one license for all his buildings in the whole town, or are you gonna
Well,
do
if
every
we're gonna
tax parcel?
subsidize Kin Fishing versus
I'm just
John
using him
Doe
as an
versus,
That's in the fee
Anybody
structure,
else,
it's not in the ordinance.
that's part of the fee structure, I think is, you're saying that Kin shouldn't pay any fees.
No, I said he should pay one fee for all his properties. He shouldn't have to pay an individual one for every different location. Cause it's one business that owns all different condos. Or, I'm just using Ken as an example, because that's the
Well,
one.
but then, you could get somebody who comes into town and buys up 5 houses and says, I'm the one owner. That doesn't work either. And I think what you got is right. And a condo is a residential unit, it is. And where Kim has his duplexes up there along S, that is a residential neighborhood, that is not a commercial
Right.
neighborhood.
Right.
So how do you separate that? You can't.
We can't separate
You
by
can't
zoning.
separate that.
See, his
You
condos
could be
are really in
appreciative of
commercial,
the fact that he's
they're
got
called-
that,
I can't hear you.
The condos are, that he's got over here are considered in a commercial area.
Right.
If you look at the zoning map. So then it's a different story because then it's considered like a commercial business.
And again, I mean,
Or-
going
right.
back to what I, reiterate what I stated before. The ordinance is the ordinance, right? That is the structure that Matt is talking about. Now knowing that the hotel, motels, campgrounds are exempt, but there are some other local businesses that are going to be included in whatever the fee, whether it's $5 or $100 or $1,000, it doesn't matter. But knowing that now, that is something we need to take consideration in on item B, not A.
And
The fee
one
structure.
last comment on it, Kevin. The business owners were here at the last meeting. Troy, I think we had representation from
Hotel.
Rule,
Hotel.
Hotel Stebbins, and Sarah Kraus.
Okay.
They all agreed with the ordinance, that there was not an issue with the ordinance.
It was just a fee schedule. that they-
Misunderstanding.
Yes.
Miscommunication. So is there any other comment from the body here? Is there any other comments or commentary, discussion regarding the ordinance itself?
Well, I make a motion that we accept this, pass it on to city council for a first reading.
This would be the first reading.
This is the
finance
first
and
reading.
personnel.
I'm sorry, yes, I apologize, thank you, Eric.
Okay, so I've got a motion by Jake to move it up to city council, the ordinance as proposed for the first reading.
I'll second it.
And I've got a second by Lee. Can I do a roll call vote on that one, please?
Yep, one moment. Okay, so I have a motion by Maring, a second by Dashlet to move the ordinance as proposed up to city council for the first reading. And a
Correct.
roll call, Ortlieb,
yes.
Kevin Schmidt,
Yes.
Swedberg,
Yes.
Boer,
Abstain.
Dashlet,
Yes.
Maring,
Yes,
Meverden.
Yes. All right, thank you. Now we will go ahead and move forward to item B, which is the short-term rental permit fee. I know that in our ordinance, we've got the flow chart and the infographic, but the way that it was presented originally was 100 and 100 up front and 50 for renewals. We, obviously with the miscommunication, it was at 1,000. Opening it up to discussion for the body on how we'd like to move forward with that.
Kevin, did you see the form that Aaron structured?
I don't remember if I saw it in
This one?
No,
No, the regular
You're talking the
form you
physical
had that the
form?
the
person
form
fills out.
that you the form that you.
We don't have it in this packet, but you had it in the
Oh,
last
the
one.
physical permit, like the
Yes.
draft permit?
Right, the draft
Yeah,
permit.
the only thing that was on that permit that was relevant here for this would have been the $50 and the $100 to set the fee
Okay,
for it.
well, okay.
But otherwise, yeah, it was just showing the registration, this is the property owner, if there's a property manager, who's the property manager. It's all laid out in the ordinance of what is on that form, but basically, who are my contact information, are you registered, how you're supposed to be, I need a copy of that registration. Yeah, it's basically the ordinance in a one-page form for them to fill out. But then it was going to be put into a database, so the police department would have it, the fire and EMS departments would have it, and we would have a log here at City Hall as well.
So originally, when it was proposed or discussed, there was a overwhelming majority that thought that the 50 and 100 was too low. There was a couple of that thought the 1,000 was too high. I guess just kind of going around the room to get a temperature of the water, where's everybody's heads at now, knowing, you know, to your point, Kevin, bringing this up before, knowing that there are going to be, it is going to affect some of the local businesses in town. Anybody have any suggestions?
Well, I guess, in retrospect, with our last meeting, I think maybe what we ought to do, it's a fee. And it will go on,
License.
it will go on our fee schedule.
Correct.
So there isn't any reason in the world why we shouldn't accept the 150 and see how it goes. And we can always raise the fee. Rather than trying to find a magic middle or something like that. Administration made a suggestion. It's a new test for us. Let's go with their suggestion. They,
So establishing a baseline, getting a
Establish a
database, because
baseline,
right
see
now
how
we
it
don't
goes.
know how many there
Yeah.
are.
and you know, 6 months into it, although 1 month into it, Aaron will know whether this thing is working or not.
And this would go into effect June.
January 1st with the fee schedule, but then registration would go into effect in March.
Okay.
I gather that we're gonna get a lot of the registrations come June, July, as things start to speed up, but our locals here know about it, so I think they'll be on board and they'll be kind of the first ones we can really see how it goes.
So $100 initial and then just a $50 renewal. That's how it was proposed.
That's how it was originally
Is
proposed.
that what you're saying, Jake?
Yeah.
Any other commentary or follow up to that?
Per
I
parcel.
think it's good enough.
Per
I
tax
Parcel.
parcel.
Tax
You're
parcel.
for the administration fees, is this?
Is it
be
gonna cover
sufficient
your
to-
time?
Yeah,
I think we looked back at it again and said that, what's the difference between the renewal and the original application? Nothing. There's no, I still have to do the same amount of work, whether you originally apply or you renew it, I still have to check all the same boxes on my end. So I think to make it easy, we were just gonna say $100 across the board per year.
sounds good.
I like it.
Yeah.
Just $100 per tax parcel.
Yeah.
Correct.
Make them both the same.
Yep.
Any other commentary from the
No, it's good.
council committee? Kevin, anything to add?
No, that's fine.
Okay. Does anybody want to make a formal motion?
So moved.
Got a motion by Kevin for a recommendation
To council.
to council?
And I'll second that.
And we've got a motion by Kevin, a second by Jake. Can I get a roll call on that one too as well, Aaron?
Dashlet,
Yes.
Ortlieb,
Yes.
Boer,
Abstain.
Mehring,
Yes.
Swedberg,
Yes.
Meverden,
Yes.
Kevin Schmidt.
Yes.
All right. And just as a side note, it is related, but for maybe some of those that are watching afterwards, on behalf of the council, I want to thank everybody that did contact us and did give us feedback and have good conversations. We're happy to get it. So, that being said, under old business, we're moving on to item C, which is the marina dredging update.
I guess I'll just start here. We talked about this morning at Public Works. This is a recommendation that was unanimous at Public Works. But going back to the talking about dredging, we're to a point now where we need to find a spot to dump our spoils, that we dredge out, okay? It's gonna be about $10,000 for Robert E. Lee to come and topo and do the groundwork to find out what size liner we would need to establish to take out our dredgings, and then give us a time frame of how long that we would be able to dredge for how many years. You know, if we have to dredge every 5 years, if we have to dredge every 10 years. In Public Works this morning, we talked about like a 25 to 30 year, all the way up to 55-year window that we would create this cell. I don't know if anybody got a chance. I can pass this copy around. We had hard copies at Public Works this morning. I think everybody has it probably on their computer. But the property that we're talking about would be on Evergreen. So it'd be kitty corner on the city's property, like kitty corner to the northwest of where the proposed fire station is where we would put this, right off of Evergreen. If you could picture Rubis Street going all the way through to the west, in that corner, kind of is where we would propose to put this site. And then that's where we would haul, after our dredgings came out, went in the marina, dried down to a certain percentage of moisture, they would get hauled there into a more or less created landfill, covered, and then turn back into green space until we needed it again. We would take that top cover off and be able to fill more material in it.
You're talking about the box that's with the red
Yes.
lines, okay?
Yes, it's got very faint kind of red line.
What's the square footage on that box?
Don't know exactly what it is. We've talked about a couple different sizes, and that's gonna really come part of the topoing if we're gonna, because there is a watershed that goes through here, if we're gonna go kind of longer, or, you know, and stay more up along Evergreen, or make it more square like I have proposed. That's why I didn't put any dimensions in there. That would be part of the topoing of trying to create this cell to try to get the max amount of dredgings that this isn't just a one-time purpose. We would use this for multiple years or multiple times of dredging, if that makes sense.
Do you have any idea what the overall effect or elevation difference would be? Or are they gonna be able
We
to
would
cause
not,
that?
so when I talk like a landfill, this is not gonna be this big, huge mound or anything like that. It would be, the elevation of what's currently there wouldn't change a whole lot. Does that make sense?
I'm just, yeah, I'm sure it'll be a question that we get
Yep.
if, you know.
Yep, no,
maybe
there's.
Water
and
runoff.
Try to use the word landfill because people think, well, landfill, they see these big green, you know, reclaimed
Sledding
properties. That's not what it's gonna be.
But any potential runoff issues, or, I mean, that's all included in that
Because
that
it would,
study?
that is correct. So at the end of it, it would be capped, and then there would be earth put on the top of it, topsoil, and it'd be planted back in grass and be mowed, you know, like it is in the state that it is in today.
Okay.
Does that,
There is a creek that runs right through the middle of that.
there is, you can kind of
But it's
see
more-
it.
Is this the
More
best spot
east.
we got, I guess is my question. What's in the dirt that we're worried about that we have to stockpile it in here?
PFAS. That's in the marina. So PFAS is a man-made chemical that in the mid-70s, all through, well, earlier than that, it's used in Class B firefighting foam. Anybody that's ever drinking out of a styrofoam cup, that shiny kind of lining in the styrofoam cup, that's
Plastics.
actually PFAS. It's in plastics. They
Fiberglass.
used it. But ever buy a cheeseburger from McDonald's, why does the cheese not stick to it? It's actually sprayed film on there. That's PFAS.
Though we've all eaten
You've eaten it, you've drank it, you've wore it. It's prevalent, very big in use in
Synthetic
Gore-Tex,
clothing.
it.
synthetics.
Is it carcinogen? Is that what we're talking about
It's,
here?
it's known to cause cancers is,
Carcinogen, okay.
yes.
So, and just to clarify, so there's, you know, gonna be people up in arms about this potentially, but the stuff that's coming out and that was dredging, you said that it would stay and dry.
So it would come out, it would dry down in the parking lot to a certain material. It would be hauled out there as a solid. and put in there as a solid.
And it's tested, I'm assuming, to make sure it's within
Mhm.
tolerable.
And the reason for this right now is the DNR and the EPA know that we have PFAS prevalent in the water. They don't have any limits of where it's, right now, they're saying, treat it, store it. In 5 years, they could come and say, well, this is where the limits are. We have very low limits of it. They could say, you don't need to store it like that. Our next time we dredge, they might be like, you can dump it, go out to Stuller's Pit and dump it, and use it
Farm
as,
field or something.
Yeah.
bring it out to a farm field.
Or jump it
Right
in.
now, anything we go do with it, there is the chance, just depending on where they set these limits, that we might have to go back out there, pick it back up, and then treat that land as as if it was contaminated.
So you've got this listed on here as an
It's not
update,
PFAS in the
Matt?
water.
It's,
in the dredgings.
yeah, thank you, Aaron. So the PFAS that's prevalent isn't PFAS that's in the water, in the harbor. It's in the soils
Yeah,
that we're
something
looking to
down.
dredge out.
And we don't have any standard for what is acceptable and what isn't at this point.
At this point, it's pie in the sky. Nobody
Again,
knows.
You wanna know how high, pie in the sky it is? We have 3 parts per billion units of PFAS in the harbor. And most contaminants run in the parts per million.
Yeah, they do.
So this is 1,000 times
less.
Less
less
dangerous.
than what most common carcinogens are measured in.
Well, you've got this listed as an update, Matt, I guess, is there any I mean, what's the timetable on this?
I would be looking for a motion to get Robert E. Lee
For that
out here to start
$10,000
to, yes.
to do the
that's-
study.
That's, well,
When
we
we gotta
would
do that?
physically, boots on the ground, start to topo this property to lay out what it would look like.
So they can order, know what size.
And what size liner we would
order
need,
for
get
the
that
whole-
ordered. This, it sounds like it's a ways out, but we retested everything, we just got the results back. We worked with the DNR, the EPA, Robert E. Lee, to try to use our landfill that we currently have. Can we take off us, on one of the cells that we have off of 54, can we take a liner off, fill it, nope, can't do it. That's bad juju, not gonna happen. So this is the next piece of property we went to look at. Where can we build this cell to store this? And hurry up and wait to see what they decide to do.
So you're looking, from this body, you're looking to get a motion to approve.
Using this property is really what we're doing. The $10,000 is really germane because it falls under the dredging. There is, if we don't remove this, the dredging doesn't happen because we have nowhere to go with the spoils.
Okay.
So it's really what this is this body saying, we're gonna use this property and have, I don't wanna tell Robert E. Lee to go topo this property, and this body says, no, no, that's not where we want this.
Is there any chance that after or during their topo or study that they're gonna say, no, this isn't gonna work, or is it?
I'm not
It
gonna,
could, right?
yeah, that's always
So this is more or less, we're okay if it works per the
Correct.
study.
Like a
Okay.
perk test. They get
Yeah.
to see if the soil can handle it.
Any other further discussion?
Just one
Comments?
clarification, when you say lined, like there's variation, so they'll dig it to a certain depth and then they'll put down some whatever, rubber or whatever impermeable barrier, and that should ideally prohibit leaching down into the soil beneath, but, right?
The last thing we want to do is contaminate any more soil, correct? Because once you dump this soil, so there's a lot of different variations depending on the soil type, KSC, of, I wish I could tell you exactly, depending on the soil borings and part of this study and how big it is. It could be as simple as digging down, putting some sand in, putting the liner in. It could be, well, you gotta bring in so many feet of clay and put a clay base liner in.
If you have a sandy soil, you might need more. If you have a clay soil, you might already have that foundation.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
I get you. Because, and I appreciate that the 3 parts per billion as being seemingly infinitesimal, but without any true understanding of the broader ramifications, it's, as safe as we can be.
Until we know.
Until we
Agreed.
know. You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed. I
mean, it's a valid point, but-
I'm not disagreeing with
Yeah.
that at all.
No, I didn't take it as such. I
Yeah.
think it's a valid
Yeah.
consideration.
And to what Jake said, there's municipalities that are dealing right now with parts per trillion that are trying to figure out how. Yeah, in the drinking water wells, they're down to parts per trillion, saying, how are you gonna deal with this, and shutting wells down?
This is-
Not trying to make our problem sound easy or fun, because it's not, but right now, there's no standards. Right now, it's try to get to a baseline of where it's dangerous and where isn't it.
Any other further questions or comments regarding the recommendation?
I'll make a motion that we move forward on the
The
dredging information and the dredging
Topo.
soil topals and that for REL, so that we can move forward, so that when the time does come for dredging, we know where we're gonna bring it and take care of it.
Okay.
Does this deteriorate over time, Matt, or does this?
The liner would
forever
not.
chemical?
It's a, well, there's, right now, they're looking at different ways of how it can be, addressed, right? There's way to completely just remove the PFAS, and they're pouring it in the concrete where it's more or less will ever be in concrete. But right now, no, there's nothing standardized that,
Okay.
how can we say
There's
in
no
20 years this
bacteria you
goes
can
away?
feed in there or anything like that, that
Yeah.
eliminate it, okay.
I've got a motion on the floor by Lee. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
A second by Midge. You need a roll call on that?
Okay, it's up to you.
Just doing, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion carries.
Can I just restate the motion, just so we got it all? So we're just moving forward with Robert E. Lee topoing that portion of the city-owned parcel, in the amount of $10,000. That's right?
Correct. So that we know we have a spot for our PFAS dredging.
I didn't know what it means.
Yeah.
We might have to go forward.
All right. Are you good, Aaron?
Yep, thank
okay?
you.
Okay.
Are we?
Thank you much. Very good discussion regarding that. We will move on then to item number 9, new business. We'll take item A, which is Public Works, coming from Public Works, the solid waste hauler RFP review.
Talked about this again this morning. Our contract with GFL is set to expire December 31st of this year. Amber put out, worked with myself and Aaron, put out an RFP, a request for proposals for new contracts. With GFL, we've, in the last 2 years, have kind of went over some pretty big hurdles and some different things, issues that we had, and decided let's put out an RFP to see what we get, requests for proposals back in response. I think 8 of them were sent out to different vendors. We had a couple of them respond that they do not pick up residential curbside garbage and recycling. They pick up the big bins. And we had 3 of them that we sent, that responded to us with going garbage being my recommendation. I have all the paperwork here currently in front of me to use going garbage starting January 1st of 2024. They would stay with garbage and recycling pickup both every week and stay on Tuesdays. And the price per month per residential stop will be $16.98 per stop, with up to a 4% increase for a 5-year contract with going garbage.
4% year over year?
Up to 4%. So it's by the CPI. If the CPI goes up 2.1, they will go up 2.1. If it goes up 4, that is the max that they will go up, is 4%
Annually.
annually.
So I noticed that was a pretty huge
So in
increase.
2024, it would be 1698. In 25, it'd be 1760. This is the max if they would take the full 4%. In 25, it'd be 1766. In 26, it'd be 1837. In 27, it'd be $19.10. And in 28, it'd be $19.86 per residential stop per month.
What are we paying now?
exactly what we are paying now, and Amber, do you know off the top of your head? I have it here.
Well, the budgeted numbers, looking at this, when you combine the two,
For the
was,
math of it.
it was 127 and 86,000. And it's going up to 137 and
Started
137.
at, right now, we're paying 13 something per person.
I was gonna say it's $13 and
But
some
they
cents.
offered, didn't they have on there, their new contract would start at 18 something a person?
The renewal with.
The
Yes,
renewal.
Going Garbage's new price would be $18.55.
No, not
I'm sorry,
Going
I apologize. GFL would be $18.55 per residential
So I
stop,
mean,
would be their new price. Another price that we had was from Harder's, and they gave us two actually different prices. One of their prices for picking up garbage every week and recycling every other week would be $18.65 for 2024, and $20.22 for picking up garbage and recycling every week.
I mean, Going Garbage now, it'll be what, 3 years before we'll get to the same price as what GFL is
Yes.
offering for the first year already.
Yes, and the other thing that this price we have now built into this RFP and built into this price of our current contract of just under $13 or right about there. We also, on top of that, paid GFL to pick up all of our 5-yard containers, our recycling containers, which added up to an additional $9,400 this last year. That now is built into Going's garbage price. They will be picking up those city 5-yard containers. We keep one at, like, the Parks Department in summer down at the marina. In winter, we move it up to the street shop. We have a corrugated and recycling container here in the back of City Hall. That is all built into this price now. That will not be a separate bill.
But it still is a pretty substantial increase.
It's-
I mean,
it's
like
still going up.
22%.
It's still
by my
going up.
math. I mean, it's,
Mm-hmm.
That is substantial.
Garbage ain't cheap.
so that's 22% or several $1,000s that we need to find elsewhere to cover that.
And
1,383 stops is what we currently have today.
and Wayne requested that the garbage cans be pink with purple tops. So
All right. What do you need, motion to,
Purple one.
A motion to move
motion to move forward with the
Going Garbage
recommendation,
to
Going
finance,
Garbage?
I'm sorry, to Public Work,
Council?
City Council, I apologize.
I make that motion that we go with Going Garbage for the 5-year contract.
Got a motion on the floor to move with Going Garbage for 5-year contract. I've got a, made by Wayne, seconded by John. Can I get a roll call on that?
Swedberg,
Yes.
Kevin Schmidt,
Yes.
Dashlet,
Yes.
Mehring,
yes.
Meverden,
Yes.
Wayne Schmidt,
Yes.
Fuhr,
Yes.
Ortlieb.
Yes.
All right, carries. Item B, under new business, we've got Administrator, new fire department facility contributions request.
Do you feel like talking?
Sure.
Well, I mean, doesn't matter.
Go ahead, Scott.
Any one of us can.
Scott, go ahead.
The ad hoc committee, that was established, I believe, last year, as part of the referendum to try to get the fire and EMS, new building approved. Obviously, we all know what happened, but we've met a couple times now, I believe, in the last
Twice.
couple months, and there was a recommendation, to draft or put together a letter requesting help from the community, business owners, affiliates with the city. And it's been drafted. I don't know if it's something that we are looking to review at this level. This
I
is
don't think
more
we're looking to
informational.
review it. I think it's more of a public notice to the council that these letters are going out to certain businesses, or all businesses, or
Individuals.
individuals, I guess I would say, that the council knows if you get a phone call or any feedback, that you're aware of this letter goes out. If anybody wants a copy of it, we have obviously copies of it, but we will be sending these out on behalf of the city, and more or less, if anybody has any feedback of, why did we do this, why didn't we?
On behalf of the fire department, EMS, and then the ad hoc committee.
So this body knows.
quick one. You said to businesses?
Not all business.
No,
Not all
So
business, yeah.
we came up with a list
List.
of who we thought may be interested in contributing to this cause.
Uh-huh.
So that list is compiled. If anybody has any ideas, please feel
Three-letter
free to
bistro.
email them to me. But this letter will be sent out to them requesting, asking, is there any way that they would like to help with a contribution towards this new station? Kind of mirroring what the softball and baseball program did with some of the improvements they're making down at Peterson Park.
Okay.
What this letter also contains is saying that if you decide to contribute to this, that money goes into a very specific account. Its own bank account will be set up, and that is the only purpose for this account. It's restricted to just be able to build this new department.
Was any consideration given to sending it out to the people that are being served by that in the various townships and all of
Yes.
the
Yep.
residents?
Yeah.
There is.
Yep, it's a
Of course.
lengthy list.
Okay.
You're on it, Jake.
Oh, good. No, you know.
But this is just an FYI in case you would get a
Information.
call saying, why did I get this letter or anything like that, just so you're aware and not.
And it's completely optional. I mean, it's just on behalf of the need. I mean, the need's not going away. So more informational, just so everybody's aware that that's going out. Any other comments or
No.
questions?
More information.
Okay. All right, then we will move on to item number 10, which is agenda items for next meeting. Anybody has anything that they would like to see on our next meeting agenda, please send them to either the administrator or Aaron. Our next meeting date is scheduled for Tuesday, October 17th at 4 o'clock here at City Hall. Item 12, I would accept a motion to go into closed session pursuant to Wisconsin Statute 19.85, deliberating or negotiating the purchasing of public properties, investing in public funds, or conducting other specified public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require closed session, regarding police union negotiations, and/or C, considering employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility, in parentheses, administrative staff.
So
Okay.
moved.
A motion to go into closed session made by Casey,
Second.
second by Midge. All those in favor? Or no, I need a roll call, please.
Roll call, please. Meverden,
Highlighter was broken. Yes.
Ortlieb,
Yes.
Dashlet,
Yes.
Swedberg,
Yes.
Boer,
Yes.
Wayne Schmidt,
Yes.
Kevin Schmidt,
Yes.
Mary.
Yes.
Yep.